When reading a nonfiction book, it can be overwhelming when trying to decide how to capture the key facts and ideas that your instructor expects. In this example, how much of the information presented by Nathanial Philbrick in his book Mayflower do I need to recall in September? What will be on the test? What will I need to include in my essay? The guiding questions will help you focus on those facts and themes that are most important. You don't need to write everything down. Don't try to capture every single fact, detail, person, or event. Remember that you will need good notes for studying and to help you in writing your essay. Part 2 of this presentation presents a recommended note-taking system for your consideration. One of the first things you want to do is to turn to the table of contents. Okay. The table of contents provides a very general overview of the story. Notice how the author divides the book into 4 parts: discovery, accommodation, community, and war. There are 16 chapters as well as the preface and epilogue. Each chapter focuses on one broad theme or idea which helps tell the story of the Pilgrims. Another tip is to actually read the preface. When reading, we usually want to jump right in and go to chapter 1. This is a mistake because the preface provides an overall context of the story that will help you identify key people and key themes and sort them from other things introduced simply to enhance the story. As you begin to read the book, remember that Philbrick's goal is to inform but also to tell an engaging story. To make the story more interesting, he includes more detail than you will be expected to recall for a quiz or test. For example, in this first paragraph, he provides great detail about their boat, information that you might end up summarizing as, "It was a difficult voyage." When taking notes from a book of this type, it's best to flip through the chapter to see if there are any breaks that might help you break up the reading. Notice on page 7 that there is extra space between the paragraphs. This is a good indicator that the author is changing to a new idea or focus. He does this again on page 10. In a textbook, these are going to be headings and subheadings, and it just helps you break up the reading of a 30-page chapter. The reason I point this out is that your natural inclination is to take notes while you read and highlight and annotate as you go. Inevitably, this will result in your taking down too many notes. You'll think that everything is important. Read and note by segment. Highlight or annotate key ideas as you go. For example, who were the Pilgrims? Why did they come to America? Are there other key ideas that are defined or explained? But at each section break, take a moment to write down the main idea in 1 to 2 sentences, in your own words. If you can't do this, you may not have understood the reading. This is a good way to synthesize the reading. You'll get a general sense of Philbrick's idea and the key facts needed to support your understanding of that idea. Trying to determine which information is important and which is less so is the key to your reading and taking of efficient notes. Remember, not all of the deep background information is relevant to our study and your understanding of the Pilgrims, especially in the early chapters. Note this information on page 7 about Bradford. Okay? Philbrick tells us in the preface that Bradford's important, so we want to pay attention to him. But we don't really need to remember where he was born or how his village looked. Notice, though, on page 8 that Philbrick does give us important information about the theology of the Pilgrims. Okay? Right down in here. This type of information is important because it helps us understand who the Pilgrims were and why they did what they did. Understanding the how and why of things is very important to our understanding of events. Keep an eye out for ideas that will help you understand the causes of future actions. It's also important to take a moment to consider the information being presented on a map or an image. This map on pages 14 and 15 shows the journey of the Pilgrims. By looking at this, you can see that there were originally 2 boats, okay, right here, and that they encountered a number of delays that made them have to turn around a couple of times. Notice the course of the boats here. The map also shows that only the Mayflower ultimately continued on to the New World. The author tells this story over a number of pages, but by taking a moment to consider the map, you will already be familiar with the story, which will improve your overall comprehension. In September, we'll begin our study of United States history with the Pilgrims, while working on skills like note-taking. We'll then leap forward to the 1760s. We'll be doing a research paper in Term 1, and you will be expected to use books like Mayflower in your research. You might only be using a chapter or a few pages depending on the book and the topic, but these kinds of books provide depth of knowledge, which is something you need when doing a research paper or project.